This is Of Me, and this is a song I made 10 years ago that I will play in a second. My process back then was just constant adding. I would listen to other tracks and try to figure out what else I could put into my own track. Now looking back, I'm not sure I was making music because this looks more like a shopping list. Here is the track. At the time, I was happy with it, but deep down, I knew it was missing something, and I was looking for something to add and take the track to the next level. Now, listen to this. This is one of the tracks I'm working on currently, and I'm trying to improve it, but I definitely don't feel like adding more. At this point, if we just take a step back and listen carefully, the old track sounds objectively amateur and garbage, while the new ones definitely has a clear idea and captures you much more easily. And there you have it. This is how minimalism changed my music. Case closed, end of discussion. Like and subscribe, and see you in the next video. Just kidding, of course, I'm a YouTuber. Now I have to talk for 10 minutes. This video won't be here to convince you to be a minimalist producer, but I want to show you my own journey and how discovering minimalism helped me create my best work yet and become international producer. I will show you the key concepts I've learned, and who knows, maybe they will become useful tool in your musical arsenal too. The first apparent effect if you go down the rabbit hole of minimalism is that it pushes you to refine your ideas. At the beginning, I believed if I just removed all the unnecessary ideas, that will be enough. Then I will be more minimal producer. And I was so wrong, but I will come back to that shortly. Let's start with the removing ideas part. Listen to this. Very busy, bad. When I started at the beginning, I was thinking, yeah, if I have a track like this, it should be easy, right? We are a minimalist producer now. If I just start removing things and just keep maybe one ideas, that will be enough. Better remove this one. Maybe remove this. Maybe remove this. Maybe remove this. Right? Maybe add this back. This. Now we have much more clearer option, much clearer sound, but this doesn't necessarily make the song better. It's still kind of a quite boring track. Everybody's pushing the theory that if you just remove all the unnecessary things, you will get much better track and the ideas will be much clearer. But in this case, while ideas become clearer, the track is still a bad track. It was this point that I realized actually minimalism, in electronic music at least, is not about removing the unnecessary ideas, but rather finding a good idea and building a scene around it, so that that idea you found can reach its maximum potential. This realization changed my perspective completely, because now I was not looking out for what other producers used in their track and copy them, but I was focusing on understanding why certain musical ideas in their tracks were so great. What made them resonate so powerfully? I was really completely focusing on that. So in this process, I discovered that intention was the cornerstone of great music. Whether a sound emerged from careful design or was just discovered by happy accidents, the most compelling songs featured elements that served a clear purpose within the larger composition. Don't get me wrong, I still play around and experiment with the sounds. That hasn't changed. But I'm not forcing meaning to my experiments. If you stumbled upon a great sound and it filled a hole in the track, great, lucky you. And if you stumbled upon a great sound but it doesn't work on the track, great, lucky you. You can still use it in another track. I don't just want to talk the talk, let's walk the walk. Back to Ableton. So let's take an example of how my sound is changing nowadays. Listen to this. If you compare the other one, there is a day and night difference. In theory, the second track has more channels, more things going on, but idea comes through clearly. An idea itself is very strong. Ideas are basically certain themes that you want to tell to your audience. And if it comes cleanly, you succeeded in minimalism. In this case, my idea is we have this amazing vocal from Poppy. I want to add power to that vocal. And I wanted to create a scene with very strong, aggressive drums and basses and a couple of horns on top maybe. But I don't want to make it busy and take away from it. What I did here is the moment the bass kick comes in, you immediately feel power, but the vocal is still right in the front. It is the main thing. And build the whole concept with strong head and snare. Just cherry on top at those horns so that we can even increase the power almost on the highest level. And that is clear definition of an idea and execution of a scene. And sometimes minimalism can really make you think differently about things and achieve more with the less. In this case, I was thinking like, how can I make our transition extremely strong and unique? I decided to chop that vocal and hold it and put a slight rhythm on it. Almost like this chant transitions into this breakdown. Look at this now, and how many things that I use. I'm just using single vocal into feve effects, a clock especially, and a riser. Achieves much more than billions of risers that you would have, and when the bass comes, you really feel the emotions. And then drums. But you can say, you know what, you just take a vocal, a beautiful vocal from an amazing artist, and that's all they did. If you think that you are getting value out of this video, please consider like and subscribe. It really helps me. Let's take another example.
To the floor, to the couch.
Let's do side by side. Again, clear definition of an idea. In this track, in the drop, I had one single idea. I like this extremely hooky lead sound, very catchy. And all I was thinking, how can I make it better? Use the things that I have, right? Of course, we are making techno, rolling bass line, right? I needed one more thing, and I realized if I make an ambience, it can actually really play around this lead sound without taking over its position. Do you see the interplay between them? This is just the support and make it super simple. And when you pair them with an ambience, it's like... This connects into the high note of this one. And all the rest is just filling now the background, the drums and so on. Idea is super clean. That lead sound, that hookiness, that repetitiveness, that's all we want with some supporting scene behind it. Another extremely trick that I always do is actually, if you keep something hooky, you can keep repeating it. You don't need to build any progression into it, but you can progress your bass. Your scene can alter slightly, and it will make your lead sound somehow sound differently. In this case here, I have a bass progression just to alter the scene a little bit. I had the idea here, I want to switch and that means that my vocals are coming in. So what I do, simply take that idea behind so that I can switch and shift the focus. In my mind, do you hear how easy? You don't need to even overcomplicate things when you have clear ideas and direction with your track. Minimalism almost comes as a secondary effect when you have clear definition of things. I understand this could be a bit more scary and confusing. Maybe I should show you also the tools of minimalism to create these simple ideas and clear scenes. These things will be pretty handy, especially if you really tap into that minimalist sound. And there are many things to do. I will just tap into a couple of them, but if you want more of these these type of things, comment them below so that I know, so I can make more videos about minimalism tools or tools of minimalism, right? So the first thing, when you learn about music, one of the first thing that you learn is actual triads, how to build a chord progression, build this type of stuff. Something that sounds good in my ears, and then I will think that the key to make even better harmonies is make them bigger. Like I will put the notes up and down, I will take the basses, put up and down, I will try to build a melody on top, and they will start to look ridiculous. It doesn't mean that they will sound bad, they will sound less focused and they will sound much more less like they have an idea. Nowadays, when I build this type of chord progression, I always think about first get them close to each other. What does that mean? Let me show an updated version of this here. These are the same chords. This last two is slightly different. I put them together so you can use the inversions, put them up and down like this to bring them closer to each other. That means that when the progression hits, ignore the basses for now. There is a single note change, right? This provides this more minimal change of harmony in the progression itself. That already helps out quite a bit with making chord progression more glued to each other. Then I intentionally try to make also bass progression. These are the bass notes separated, going down. And I try to create more like an idea by creating these like top notes, just building a small harmony, small melody. And this creates more like a almost like a really sad vibe. This has so much theme in it. Sing on it, you have a track already, right? And the changes from here, it sounds much less glued. It sounds much more random. Here, we're immediately grabbed by the idea. I understand this could be really a bit advanced at the beginning to like play around the chords and glue them together, but many times you actually just need two notes to create harmonies in your tracks. In this case, take a look at an example here, a beautiful sound. First, I want to point out we literally have like just 5 channels to create this amazing sound. Clear ideas, but the whole harmony comes from 2 notes. What's really happening is like melody and the bass are on top of each other. If you remember the previous what I said, I had the bass note and the top melody. It's kind of both at the same time here, right? Changes are minimal as well, close to each other, and especially when you follow this with the bass line, all the harmony that you need for a minimal track. I made this just for tutorial, but now I feel like I'm gonna make a track out of this, just like that. Let's say you are not a harmony person, which is very understandable for minimal producers. A lot of the times you don't even use like advanced chord progressions and chord progressions whatsoever. And you create ambiences by using drones, something like this. It's coming from here. How much change it made, isn't it? Again? Oftentimes you do this kind of stuff with resampling, but in this case you take a sample, stretch it, bend it, EQ it, and in this specific case I'm shifting a bit more as well, so it's great. It's like with 2 layers. How can you create that type of sound yourself? But you need any sample that you like and a sample that can hold the sound and a reverb or even delay that can hold or keep feedbacking it into itself so that you can create this weird drone sound. I can hear, if you can hold this part with, I'm hearing already here, there we go. But we do, right? And then you can sample, there we go, a perfect drone sample. What happened actually, I didn't resample, I recorded from the microphone, which made it even more interesting. So this was an example of lucky accident on the go. Let me show you how it will sound if we recorded the resampling. Select resample. This one is a bit more boxy. This one is a bit more brighter. Just to sake of the example, let's go with this one, right? Get an EQ. Together always with the track. I like the shifter idea of pitching up, so let's try that. Right, this is super cool. Immediately, let's give a sidechain. I don't need no more. This will be already a good song starter. Right? But if you go crazy, you can add flangers, you can introduce more. Let's go for volume shaping. Right, something like this. Here we go. Drones are extremely useful tools and they can paint your scene with this like subtle color that then you can draw your main character on top. Another tool in your toolbox is called Ostinatos, and there's a very good reasoning behind it. When you simplify your harmonies, creating longer melodies with auto progression gets harder because then you have to support those melodies with all the other elements. However, if you create ostinatos that most of the time repeat itself all the time, you can really get away with simplicity in the scene as well. Let's revisit our previous example, this one. If we zoom into the sound, this is all we have, repeating over and over and over again. Ostinatos, by the definition of it, are very catchy because we are just repeating the same notes over and over again. In this case, we literally have 3 notes up and down, up and down. Hence, it creates this very repetitive but catchy melody. However, ostinatos doesn't mean that you have to use exactly the same way it is. So a very typical example will be putting down 1 octave before the drop.
Got my heart, no bargaining, from the bed to the floor to the couch.
And they are very loud. I want to make the point come across, but the idea is like you can actually change the pitch so that you can still emphasize some emotions. Another example, you can also play around with your ostinatos and make it even more ostinato. What I mean is, let's say we want to use the same melody, we want to tease about it. Let's say here, let's take off these two, see how it sounds. And maybe like this. I'm just simplifying it, right? Maybe even like this. This looks straight ahead. We could probably low pass a little bit. Right? Another thing. Idea is like keeping the melody simple and repetitive, but you can still play around during the tracks to create a bit more variation or focus on different emotions, even though it's relatively simple melody. Layering and sound design. When it comes to layering, you will actually hear people be against it, especially in the minimal genre, simply because of wrong reason people layer things. Again, it comes with the intention and the purpose. And I have a good example here. Gorgeous, really. However, this is obviously a sine wave, and sine wave won't be able to carry you for the emotions that you want to build up during the breakdown. The simplest way to achieve that is layering with this similar sound. Similar to like how guitar breaks at the edge, right? Not taking over the mix, but creating more emotions. And finally, to make it even more emotional, we have this layer coming in. Right? 3 layers, but all layers are serving for exact same purpose, creating the intended emotions, rather than just be throwing random layers on top of that. Another thing, this is more abstract, it will be harder to explain with simple effects, but the more minimal you go, the more important the sound will get. So the only sound that you are having has to have the power and character so that it can carry the track. In this case, here we have this drop. Let's play it without the late sound. Obviously, we have to have something that's really powerful enough that will carry this. And that comes with this really aggressive main lead sound that has a really cool sound design on top of that. Basically, phase and frequency modulation of sawtooth, and then we have tons of distortion on top to make it really in your face. And this changes whole drop. So purposely designing sounds will be a really helpful tool if you go to more minimal direction. You may feel like you learn the techniques or you know the techniques, but you still can't finish your tracks. I have a technique that I developed myself that is called seed-based arrangement, and I have a whole video about it here that will help you finish your tracks. Take a look.